Hi, and welcome back to Ronnie the Reader. Today, I am super excited because we are going to be doing an unhaul video. Now, if you have been following me along my journey the last couple of months, you may have known that I recently moved. So I used to live in Arizona. I lived there for about 8 years. I went to school there, but I originally grew up in Maryland, and I moved back in December to the state of Maryland with my fiance and my cats, and obviously all of my books. So before I moved, I went through my books that were in Arizona and got rid of it. Prior to doing that, I had been home a couple of times and I had gone through my books and gotten rid of a few. But while I was unpacking the books that I still had here at my mom's house, there were a few that I thought I had gotten rid of before or saw and just realized that I maybe don't want to hold on to for whatever reason. So we're actually going to start. Let me turn you around a little bit. So that bookshelf back there is my kind of unofficial like young adult shelf, and it's a lot of the books that I did have growing up at my mom's house before. So we are going to head over to that shelf first and grab some of the books off there that I just feel like I am wanting to part with. And then we're going to whip around again. We are going to go over to this shelf that I have here in the corner behind my door. That's more of my adult shelf and a lot of the books that I had with me in Arizona. And I'm going to go through that just one more time, give it another pass, and see if there is any books on there that I'm wanting to get rid of, either just for the sake of not wanting to keep it. And also, these shelves are a lot smaller than my old shelves, and they, like, not a lot of books fit on them. I do like how books go on them. Like, they're not super deep and they're not super tall. And I do like the way that the books look on the shelves, but they are not that big. They do not hold that many books. So we are going to go through all of that. So let's head over back to the young adult shelf and we will go through it just kind of, shelf by shelf. I'll try to get as much footage as possible of me going through each shelf and just kind of grabbing some books, and then I will talk about the books. All right, so I don't know how much you actually saw of that, but I did get quite a few books thrown onto my bed that I think I'm going to part with. The only book series, or I guess there's two books, one book, one standalone, and one book series that I'm a little still unsure about on the shelf. So I guess I'll take you over here so you can see it maybe a little bit more closely. So I'm a little bit on the edge here, but this shelf you can see a little bit more closely. So I'm just going to stand a little bit off camera. So the ones that I was contemplating but not sure if I was going to actually get rid of were Illuminate and Gemina. I just recently finished Obsidio in February, I think it was, from the library, and it was fine, but I don't know if I want to hold on to the series. It's really interesting. They're really cool sci-fis, but I don't know, I just didn't love it completely. So maybe in another year or so time, whenever I do my next unhaul, I'll see how I'm feeling and maybe decide to part with them at that point, but we will see for sure, definitely. And then the other book that I was thinking about was More Happy Than Not down here by Adam Silvera. It's the only Adam Silvera book that I had read before, and I just never have been interested in picking up any of his other books. And this one was just kind of fine. I read it as a teenager, but it kind of does have a little bit of sentimental value, so I would like to keep it, and it is a little bit more of just like a diverse read in general being on my shelf, and so I think I will keep it and hold on to it. But yeah, I will go over the books that I did get rid of here, once we go through the other shelf. But I do have a lot more room here now on this shelf, so hopefully I can move maybe some books around and just create more of a cohesive space on this one. But let's head over to the other bookshelf, which there's a lot more books, so getting ones out that I may want to get rid of is going to be a lot more difficult. And these are books that I have already gone through before, so I'm going to really have to take my time to kind of just contemplate getting rid of a few. So I've finished the shelf and I managed to grab 3 books. Could be maybe a little bit more, like I said, in the future, but we'll see. I did not create any more room really on this shelf, maybe like a few more books, which I do have a couple of loose strand books that I need to find places for. So, and now that maybe I have a little bit more room over here, I can move some of these books over there. So we will see, but now let's get to the books that I'm actually going to get rid of. I'll start with the books from the shelf and then do the ones from the more young adult shelf. First book that I'm parting with from the adult shelf is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I just picked this book up in February and read it, and I read it all in one day over the course of like maybe 4 or 5 hours or so. I read the first half before dinner, second half after dinner, and it was a quick read. It was fun, but it was just 3 stars. I've heard a lot of mixed stuff about Frida McFadden. I mean, she's really popular. She's really having like a year and the last really like 2 to 3 years, but I don't think that her books are going to be for me just based off of this particular one. And I don't necessarily need to keep this. I love keeping my thriller books because that's my favorite genre, and I like having mystery thrillers displayed on my shelf. But this was not one I need, even though I do love the blue cover of this. Like, it's a really pretty blue. It's kind of like my favorite color of a blue, but I just ultimately don't need it and would rather kind of just part with it. And I'm sure another person who really loves Frida McFadden or is going to love Frida McFadden in the future would really enjoy having this way more than me. This book is a book that I thought I had gotten rid of a long time ago and then maybe was thinking of keeping because I would like to read it eventually one day in my life, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen at this point in my life. And so I don't need to keep it. And that is Under the Dome by Stephen King. I got this as a Christmas gift probably 12 or 13 years ago from my uncle, because at the time I enjoyed the first season of the television show that this is based off of. And I've actually never read a Stephen King novel. The only things I've read by him have been like short stories or novellas. I've read Full Dark, No Stars, which is like a short story collection. And then I read Elevation, which is more of like a novella by him. I do want to read a Stephen King novel. And actually, the one that's most intriguing to me at this point in my life is another huge one, and that's 11/22/63. So we'll see. But as far as Under the Dome, I don't need to keep this. It takes up a lot of room, and I'm just not going to read this physically at this point in my life. I started this as an audiobook probably 2 or 3 times. The latest one, if I'm not mistaken, was all the way back already when I was a sophomore in college. So that's like 7 years ago at this point. So yeah, just not needing to keep this one anymore. The last book I'm getting rid of from this particular shelf, I actually believe is a young adult book, and I'm really sad to get rid of it because I do want to read it, but I don't know. I haven't been drawn to pick it up for multiple years now at this point, and that's Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. I really love Marie Lu. I've loved the Legend trilogy when I was a teenager. I really enjoyed the Young Elites trilogy. I wasn't a huge fan of like Warcross or Wildcard, and I actually don't even own those books anymore. And now I'm going to be parting with Sky Hunter, which I never tried to read. And if I'm being honest, this may be super like selfish, or not selfish, but like, I don't know, just like very surface level. I would be way more inclined to keep this book if it was actually a shorter hardcover that matched my editions of Legend and everything like that, because as of right now, putting this book with those books just doesn't work for the space I have. And so I'm going to be parting with this, unfortunately, but I'm sure someone else will absolutely love this story and really be happy to have it. And getting to the books that I'm getting rid of on my young adult shelf, starting with Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi. I actually read this. I listened to it as an audiobook back in 2023, I think it was. And it was just okay. It was fine. Nothing special, nothing show-stopping. I've had this physically for probably, once again, 11 or 12 years now at this point. Never collected the rest of the series. Finally just listened to this as an adult when I probably would have enjoyed it way more back in my young adult days. I know that this was a fairly popular, YA dystopian trilogy, and it was exciting, but just nothing that's making me want to hold on to the physical book. And this is one of the books that I thought I had already actually gotten rid of my last trip to my mom's house. But never did, so it's unfortunately not making the cut this time. And the next two, once again, I thought I had gotten rid of as well, but that is The Murder Complex and The Death Code by Lindsay Cummings. This is a duology, I believe, and I read The Murder Complex so many years ago. And then I remember buying the Death Code, I think at a Books a Million, like my senior year of high school, and then just never attempted to read it. And the Murder Complex, I actually remember fairly well. Like to this day, this is one of the books that sticks out most in my mind, which is just kind of crazy and baffling to me. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, this is also books that I thought I had already gotten rid of. And it's, a YA dystopian. I'm just really not in the mood for that type of story at this point in my life. Okay, almost done. We are down to our last two series, but this next series I actually just read in the fall of 2024, and it is the Shadow and Bone trilogy, or the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. Um, I enjoyed Shadow and Bone. I thought Siege and Storm was okay, but then really did not enjoy Ruin and Rising. And while these are pretty, books, I don't know. I don't have attachment to them as a teenager like some of the other maybe bad books on my shelf, so I am parting with these as well. And lastly, these are the books that I'm maybe most upset to get rid of just because they hold such a special and nostalgic place in my life, but they are not books that I'm going to be returning to for a long time, if ever. I'm, never say never. Um, and they are books that I thought I had gotten rid of twice now. I thought I had gotten rid of them just physically. And then I thought I told my sister that she could keep them. And maybe I'll ask her before I do actually get rid of them if she does want to keep them officially. But it is the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth. And even my Divergent copy here has a sticker on the front about the movie coming out in March of 2014. Obviously, these are a very well-known YA dystopian trilogy that came out back in the day, kind of, called like a Hunger Games clone, although they don't really have that many similarities to the Hunger Games besides very surface level things. But, Divergent was fun, Insurgent was really boring, and Allegiant, I think we all know, kind of sucks. And I think just having these on my shelf now as a 28-year-old adult just is not serving me. Maybe in the future I'll repurchase these if I really, really want to, but I don't know. And kind of part of me always was like, oh, I'll hold on to these for like my child to read in the future. But there are other better YA trilogy dystopians that I have that I would maybe rather have my child read. But if they ever want to read Divergent, I will for sure go out and buy this trilogy again for them. But that's, a long time away. Like we're talking at minimum 20 years. So I don't need to hold on to these for the next 20 years. So they sadly will be going away today. And that is it for the haul. That is, or unhaul, excuse me. That is everything I'm getting rid of from my bookshelves here. So thank you so much for watching. And if you've read any of these, let me know what you thought of them. And I am going to be trying to find a good home for these. I'm not sure where I'm going to be getting rid of them yet, but we will see. So until I have another video soon, bye.